Grandpa series?
Granddaddy's Secrets.
Hi, welcome to another show of Meet the Author. Tonight we have Daniel Blanchard and his book, Feeling Lucky. Welcome, Daniel.
Well, thank you, Jason.
Well, Daniel writes about feeling lucky. Well, I guess in some ways you should be thanking your father. For what? I said incredulously. I couldn't believe Granddaddy just said that, I quipped. The man made my life hell for years. Granddaddy replied, it was a nightmare. It was hell, exactly. Feeling Lucky is about a struggling teen who lives in a violent and frustrating world. He is angry over the hand that life has dealt him. Suddenly, as if out of nowhere, his estranged and mysterious Granddaddy appears. On this one stormy and magical afternoon in the park, this former World War II fighter pilot plants a seed that forever changes the way his grandson looks at family, relationships, and success. The once angry boy departs finally understanding what it really means to feel lucky. Do you feel it? Will you do what it takes to succeed in this imperfect world? Will people be better or worse off because they met you? Are you feeling lucky? Well, I think this is a very important type of book for teens, and I'm sure that nobody has a perfect family and life, and a lot of people can associate or identify with the messages in this book, and I read it, and I really, really liked it.
Yes.
So, tell me about the book.
Well, I agree with you fully, Jason. So many of us think that we have a life rough. And then when we get out in the real world and look around and see other people, we notice that we're not the only ones that have things rough. And I've been a public school teacher for quite a few years now, and I've seen a lot of students. I work in the inner city, and I see a lot of students that are struggling, thinking they got it so bad, and everybody around them seems to be in similar boats, having it bad. And then you look at, like these big professional athletes or whoever they may be, saying, I'm not a role model. Don't look at me like a role model. And, my heart's breaking for these kids being their teacher. My heart's breaking for these kids thinking, who do they have?
Problems with the actors and actresses now. They're all in jail, or I heard today another famous actress is going to jail.
Yep, stealing,
the other two,
DWI.
Won't mention any name. Yeah.
You name it. Abuse, spousal abuse, or whatever it may be.
Losing their idols.
Yes, yes. And when you have this on TV and this on like the mainstream media, and you've got, let's say, less than the perfect role models at home, or absent role models at home, as a teacher.
Single parent home nowadays.
Absolutely. Quite frequently, it's single parent families. So I felt that as a teacher who was surrounded by this all the time, I felt that it was my duty to do something about it and to create a role model, even if it's a fictitious role model, out of a book. So I figured I could reach a lot of kids with this, and maybe this book, Feeling Lucky, out of this Granddaddy's Secret series, maybe that could be their role models.
So is this your granddaddy, or it's a fictitious granddaddy?
It's a fictitious granddaddy, which is a mixture of my granddaddy and students that I've met over the years, but it is fictitious.
What kind of research did you do to get this book going?
It's interesting that you asked that, Jason, because someone once told me, even though it's a book fiction, somebody once told me that all good writing is really autobiography. And I have to agree, because I took a lot of elements out of my life when I was growing up, and then I looked at all my students over the last 2 decades, my students and athletes, and just little things stuck with me over the years, and I just kind of borrowed little things and kind of just put it together. So I guess my research is just life as a teacher, as a coach, as a person. Okay.
When you say athlete, too, are you an athletic teacher?
I was a wrestling coach for 14 years and a football coach. So now I got my own kids, so I'm on round 2. I'm coaching my kids now.
But you're also a teacher in addition to being a coach?
Yes, absolutely. I'm a history teacher over at New Britain High School. But I've been over there for quite a few years. But
we actually had a coach on the show from another member like you are of Connecticut Authors and Publishers Association, Steve Riley, and he was a coach for baseball and football, and he wrote about his experiences in coaching in a book.
Yes.
That was very interesting. The Fat Lady. It's not over till the Fat Lady sings.
Yes, yes.
And it was very good. And he brought his coaching experiences into a book, and it was an excellent book.
I talked to him about that story, believe it or
Oh,
not.
you did?
Yeah, and it was very interesting. And I came up with a little slogan. I said, Steve, I think your book would be awesome if it was like hero to zero back to hero. Because it's a great story that Steve writes. Mm-hmm. Yes. Us coaches have a lot of stories, and teachers as well.
We have a lot of people to work with.
Mm-hmm. True.
That's pretty cool. Who is the teen in this book?
Again, it's a fictitious teen that I made up, and some of it's me. Some of it's me, some of it's the athletes I've had over the last couple of decades. Some of it's the students that I've had.
So if one of your students or athletes, though, read this book, would they be able to see themselves in it, or they couldn't really pick it out?
That's interesting that you would say that, because I
or
just
they
met
read it
up.
and they said, that's me.
Yes, I just had a cup of coffee with an old wrestler that I had back in the 90s. And, he's all grown up now, married, kids, all that stuff. And we just met up for a cup of coffee, and he was like, Coach, and he still calls me Coach, even as a grown man. He's like, Coach. He goes, I couldn't put this book down. I'm reading this book, and I feel like it's me you wrote about. And I'm like, I wrote about all you guys.
Well, that makes it good, because even when I read it, I felt, oh, there's some parts in here that fit me too. But because you have such a gamut of students and experiences, it actually is a little bit of everybody, so everybody can identify with, and the lessons are universal.
Absolutely.
So anybody can identify or be happy with the book. Now, you call it Feeling Lucky, and it's part of what you're calling a Granddaddy series.
Yes.
So tell me what the Granddaddy series is, and what is Feeling Lucky? And you also mentioned something about that there's going to be a couple books, but each one for a different grade. Why that?
Yes, okay. Now, the Granddaddy Secret series.
Granddaddy Secret series. Okay.
I'm presently writing my third book right now on that series. And the reason why it's called the Granddaddy Secret is because I really want to connect the generations, or like the mentoring between, let's say the grandparents and the grandchildren. Right now, it seems like the parents in the middle, single-family homes, maybe working 2-3 jobs, trying to put bread on the table. It seems like there's a little bit of disconnect between the parents and the children. So I'm thinking, well, let's bring the grandparents back in this. Let's bring the grandparents back in this. Let's get the grandparents convinced that these kids really do need their help. And let's get these kids convinced that these grandparents really do have something worth listening to. So that's why I call it the Granddaddy Secrets, because I want that
Maybe
generation.
They'll go back and ask Grandma and Granddad, some stories about their lives now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Granddad, tell me this, we're going to get that. And they'll say, oh, someone must have wrote a book,
Yes, we need to bring them back together, because right now, it's a tough time for parents. Parents are working a couple jobs trying to feed their kids and trying to just survive. So it's a tough time. We need to bring that generations of the grandkids and grandparents back. Or if there's no grandparents in the picture, then maybe you can go to like a neighbor or a school teacher or somebody else, and stop looking at them like they're just old people. And then the older generation's got to stop looking at them like these are just a bunch of wild kids that, not going to listen to anything I have to say anyways. Well, maybe they will. Maybe they will if you try. Okay, so that's the Granddaddy Secrets, and there's 3 books. The first one's called Feeling Lucky, which I'll talk about that title in a moment, why I chose that title. It's a 10th grade story. And there's a little bit of a theme of like reading and researching and just finding out some of the basic things in life that you need to know to survive and to thrive.
So a main idea of this book, and I read a good portion of it, is go to the library and get some answers by reading books. And a lot of the answers are in books. And you have that quote, if I can find it quickly, by Walt Disney, something that more treasure in the library than there is in all of Treasure Island.
Yes.
More or less. And yeah, that's pretty interesting that he would say that, because he put out the movie Treasure Island. So, pretty good. He would know. So go on.
Yes. So
what's the 11th grade?
The 11th grade story is the Granddaddy Secrets book called Feeling Good. Now, here's a kid that, he's starting to feel better about his abilities. And in this one right here, it's taking it to the next level. It's saying, okay, now you've learned to start reading and start researching and start finding out some things that you need to do to survive and thrive.
Reading is researching.
Now this second book it's time to take it to the next level. It's time to start writing.
Writing.
And most kids don't enjoy writing. But you know what? Do it. Do it. Because writing helps you sharpen your intellect.
So you want them to be authors.
Yes, I want them to write. Writing, and it sharpens your intellect. It gets you to think about your thinking. You know, that psychologists call that the metacognition. You know, it's one of the best things you can do to become successful. And to like I said, to sharpen your intellect and be able to think more clearly about life, is you got to start writing. Writing, you know, it brings a lot of success, and so many people are afraid to do it, and you got to do it. You know, and the third book that I'm working on right now from the Granddaddy Secret series is called Feeling Strong. That's the 12th grade story. It's like, okay, you know, you've gotten the reading done, you're doing the writing, you're getting better at the writing. You know, now it's time to get out into the community, out in the real world, and start like being like civic-minded, service-minded. Start helping your community, and you'll be surprised about your community starts to help you, and you know, how you start to grow in your capabilities by just being out there in the community. Now, if you don't mind, Jason, I'd like to go back real quick and just kind of say,
Sure.
the reason I picked this Feeling Lucky title was because I kept hearing my students say over and over through the years, you know, that they were just going to all of a sudden like become like a professional basketball player. And I'm like, really? Are you on the high school basketball team?
Are you feeling lucky?
Yeah. I'm like, are you on the high school basketball team? And they'd be like, no. So then I go by and I'd see a kid just sitting there not doing his work, and I'm like, why aren't you doing your work? And he's like, I don't have to. Like, what do you mean you don't have to? I'm going to cut like a record or music and do it. Really? Okay. Are you in the studio working on that? No. So you're not doing the work. What do you think? You're just going to get lucky? Somebody's just going to throw a music contract in your lap. Somebody's just going to throw a professional basketball contract in your lap.
Students today actually think that.
Yeah, like they're going to
that it's going to just happen.
Win the lotto.
They're going to be discovered just like that.
Yeah, they're going to be discovered just like that. And they just don't realize that, you know, you're not. You're not just discovered.
It doesn't happen that way.
It doesn't happen that way. The ones that work diligently, day and night, you know, may be found after a decade. You know, people call them an overnight success. There's no such thing as an overnight success. And if they weren't working day and night at this, they would have zero chance. So you get so many people thinking that I'm going to win the lotto. My uncle's going to die in California, leave me in inheritance.
Even the Beatles were playing in underground places for a couple of years before they started going, you know?
Oh, absolutely.
So it's not overnight, you know?
No, it's not overnight. So the whole thing, I'm trying to change the paradigm of luck. You know, so many people that I've seen over the years think that they're just going to like sit back and like luck is going to come to them, and it doesn't work that way. You got to change the paradigm. It's got to be hard work, preparation, meet, and opportunity. That's got to be the new definition.
How does that book say? How does that book teach you that?
This book right here shows you got to work. It shows you got to prepare yourself. How are you going to prepare yourself? Well, the first thing you do is you're going to start reading. You're going to start researching. You're going to start finding out information that you don't currently have or possess. You know, you're going to start preparing yourself. So if an opportunity does come knocking, you were prepared.
So who do you think, what paradigm, what student would say, I have to get this book so I'll know what to do, especially the student who thinks he doesn't have to do anything to get there? Why would he make the step to get this book to start? Let's put it that way. That's a hard question.
Well, that is a tough question, Jason. And the easy way of me doing it is by standing in front of them and leading by example. And when I say things that just blow their mind, have them at the edge of their seat, you know, looking for more. You know, when I do things like that in front of them, then they all of a sudden want to like emulate me. They want to start being like me. And how are they going to do that? Maybe I need to get smarter. Maybe I need to learn more things. You know, maybe Mr. Blanchard's book would help, after all, if I started doing that. You know, that's the small scale. You know, when I have the kid in front of me and when I'm inspiring them and leading through inspiration, you know, that's the easy job. The tougher job is to get to the kids that I don't stand in front of every day. You know, and those are the kids that I'm hoping to get through, you know, radio and TV and media and the things I'm doing right now. And then once they get in there and they start looking at this book, and then they start spreading it, word of mouth.
So you brought up something important. We were talking a little bit beforehand, but as an author, you feel committed to the message in the book. And the reason why I say that is because the show's called Meet the Author. It's not just about the story.
Yeah.
And it's about the author process. And surprisingly, it came to my knowledge that some authors actually thought, I'm just going to put the book out there and it's going to sell by itself. Just like the student who's going to sit down and nothing's going to happen. And I was saying, you know, from my experience, it doesn't happen that way. You have to invest in the book too and help it sell itself or be distributed. So what do you have to say about that? What are you going to do to get this message out there? What's your commitment?
I love
hold
what
your book up while you're talking.
I love what you're offering me there, Jesse. And if you don't mind, I'd love to
5-year contract.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I love what you're offering me, and it kind of reminds me of when I graduated college. When I graduated college, I went home and I looked at my phone. I should say my parents' phone. You know, I looked at my parents' phone and I said, "Okay, it's going to ring." And guess what? It didn't. It didn't. I mean, I had to learn the hard way. That I had to actually go out there and look for a job. And then I wrote this book, and I kind of like looked at my phone now because I owned it. And I said, all right, it's going to ring. And it doesn't. It doesn't ring. So once again, the School of Hard Knocks, you know, there's a learning curve. You know, that's what this book is all about.
Something in the book attests to that, okay? What do you, was that the Goya one?
Yeah, the Goya.
So what does Goya stand for?
Yeah, Goya is actually one of the chapters in here. And then again, it's about the School of Hard Knocks. And stop feeling sorry for yourself. And G-O-Y-A, Goya. G, get, O, off, Y, your, A, arse.
So get off your arse.
Get off your arse because
you want to make it happen.
Yeah,
right?
you want to make it happen. You want to start creating your own luck. You want to get to a point where you're feeling lucky because you've done the work. You have Goya, got off your arse and got out there and you've made things happy, and it made things happen, I should say. And when you got that in the back of your mind that you've done that, that you're prepared, you're feeling lucky. And things are going to start falling into place. You know, and things have fallen into place for me. I mean, it hasn't been easy. It's been a lot of work. I've been out there. You know, I'm writing 4 newspaper columns now. I'm writing my 3rd book. You know, I've had multiple TV, radio interviews.
You're writing.
I'm writing.
You're writing to make it happen.
I am. I'm writing. I'm not just sitting there looking at the phone saying, how come it's not ringing? You know, or checking my email saying, how come there's nothing in there? Guess what? There isn't going to be anything in there. It's just like sitting back there and thinking you're going to win lotto or something like that. And you're going to be rich because you're going to get lucky. Luck's going to come to you. It's not. Luck's not going to come to you. Nothing's going to come to you. You're going to go get it.
One of the things I learned about this country, because I lived in another country, we have one of the things in the Constitution is the pursuit of happiness, which is like feeling lucky. It's a little bit different than feeling lucky. It would be pursuing lucky. So you know what that word pursuit means? Is Goya. You have to go pursue the happiness, but you have the right to be happy. But it's not going to just happen. You have to pursue it.
I love how you brought up the pursuit of happiness.
Go. So you have the pursuit of feeling lucky.
Yeah. With me being a history teacher, I love that whole pursuit of happiness thing.
Because that actually is in our Constitution. It's not in other nations' Constitution. And I always felt, by living in another country, that culturally that's what set Americans apart, that we had the right to the pursuit of happiness. And that's not in the Constitution of other countries, even
and that's true.
from other democracies.
That's true. And listen, it's not, you're not entitled to be happy. You're entitled for the pursuit.
You're
the pursuit of happiness.
To find it if you can.
And if you become successful and start feeling lucky because you're doing these things I'm telling you to do, and you start finding success, you're going to find out that happiness kind of goes hand in hand with success. And I'm constantly saying this, you know, you're going to be more successful. You're going to be happier in life. It's better to win than it is to lose. Absolutely. So you got to do these things. You'll be happy.
Feeling lucky, be a winner. That'll be the next sentence.
Read
some parts of the, in the end, you had some parts there about...
Oh, yeah, this is beautiful.
100... Grandpa sayings?
Yeah, what I did was, the Feeling Lucky book, at the very end of it, I said, boy, wouldn't it be nice if they just had one little small place to kind of look and see, you know, where are all these secrets of happiness? You know, without going back and having to reread the book and try to figure it out, I just put it right there in front of you to look at, make it nice and easy, and it's on page 145. I got Granddaddy's 100
Well,
Secrets of
assuming
Success.
everybody has a copy in their hand, they will.
They will.
By the time they see the show,
They will.
Turn to that page. Okay.
Yeah, so 145, which is kind of funny because I wrestled the 145-pound weight class
Oh,
when I
okay.
was a two-time state champ and two-time junior
Planned.
Olympian. You know, at the
There you go.
145-pound weight class, and here it is.
Your lucky number.
Yeah, my lucky number. So it's on page 145, and I just laid it right out there. It goes chronological with the book. You know, number one, the park is a great place to learn. You know, number two.
Sound on that.
Yeah.
The park, I mean, the park is a great.
The park is a great place to learn.
That's
Well,
deep.
It is deep. It is very deep. And what I'm trying to say here is, listen, learning. Remember when you were a kid and you were out just jumping in the puddles or throwing a ball around and having a good time? I mean, the last thing you were thinking about when you were having a good time was that you were actually learning. It's the last thing on your mind. You were thinking that, no, I was having fun. I wasn't learning. I was having fun. I was playing. That's what I was doing. No, you were learning through play.
Learning is fun.
Learning's fun. Learning's through play. Now, all of a sudden, I mean, years go by, and you find yourself in a classroom with straight rows and 4 white sterile walls, and all of a sudden they tell you, this is what learning is. And you fight it. You fight it. But when you were young, you learned all the time through play. And now all of a sudden you're in school and you're fighting it. It doesn't have to be that way. You can have fun your entire life, every single day, no matter where you go. If you walk and wonder and think and look around and just admire what's around you, you are learning. The other thing that saddens me is that I was just reading a statistic that most of the people, once they graduate high school, never read another book.
No.
Yeah, most people never
be
read
darned.
another book.
Well, I used to say, you know, if it wasn't for the sports page, a lot of people wouldn't be able to read.
Yeah, that's true.
Next line.
So that saddens me that people stop their
I'm
learning
in shock. I didn't realize
at
that.
18.
Really?
You can't stop your learning at 18. It's got to be a lifelong
They
thing.
have e-books.
Yeah, there you go.
What's the next
The
one?
next one was the simple things in life are the best things in life. To tie it into the first one, you know, how about the flight of a bird? When's the last time you sat there and just admired the flight of a bird? When's the last time you stuck your tongue out and caught a snowflake on your tongue? I mean, there are a lot of ways that we can enjoy
Just finished
life.
the winter. Couldn't you pick another one? We had a long,
When's the
cold
last
winter
time you
there,
ran through the rain? A spring shower.
I know.
All right? When's the last
Walking
time
in
you
the
jumped
rain.
in a puddle?
It is the small things in life. You're right.
The simple
Gardening.
things.
Gardening.
And once you start enjoying the simple things in life, you're going to find that you're having fun. And when you're having fun, your brain starts to become like a sponge. And it just sucks up everything. You start learning without even knowing you're learning.
So what? School is the simple thing in life?
School
Make it
can.
simple.
School
be?
can be simple.
Tell me how.
We don't have to complicate it. You know, myself, I'm a teacher. I've been very, very lucky to be a history teacher. And one of the things I've done is I've simplified history by not pounding and drilling dates and facts, but by playfully and in a fun way laying out a story. Laying out his
Where
story
were you
and her
when
story.
I was growing up?
Yeah. I mean, when I talk to adults and I tell them I'm a history teacher, they go, oh, I never liked that subject. I go, because I wasn't your teacher.
Actually, I like that subject, but not because of the teachers.
Yeah. But I always tell them, because I
one.
wasn't your teacher.
Next one.
The next one is remembering the miracle that you truly are will give you the strength to always do what is right.
That's correct.
Yeah, it reminds me of
Good one.
a time that I was driving down the road and somebody was tailgating me and honking their horn and giving me a hard time because I wasn't driving fast enough for them. Very easy to lose your temper. Very easy not to act like the
Road
person
rage.
you really are. Yeah. We should at all times remember the miracle
Let
that
him
we are.
pass by.
Yeah, let them pass by.
him pass through.
And if you remember the miracle you are, you're going to do things above and beyond what you're doing right now. Yeah.
And
Another
one more, and then we're going to finish the show.
Planning ahead makes you a superstar. Is Granddaddy's secret number 5. Okay?
Planning ahead. That's very important. That's a good one.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Planning ahead makes you a superstar. I mean, if you don't
You
plan
have to
ahead,
have a plan.
you're going to get caught off guard.
Because-
If you plan ahead, you will find a way to become a superstar. You know, maybe not today or next week or next month when you think you need it. But if you develop the habit of always planning ahead, that follows right in line with preparation. You are preparing yourself for when opportunity comes knocking. And that's what lucky is. That's the definition of lucky.
It's like, I don't know the exact phrase, but something like, not knowing what to do is the quickest way to get there.
Oh, yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Something like that.
Yeah,
But,
yeah, absolutely.
you definitely have to plan your life as much as you can, but also enjoy the journey. It's about the journey.
Yeah.
That was in your book, too. I read that.
Yeah, it's about the person you become
So
through
one
the journey.
very quick statement about the book and what message you want to...
Well, this book right here, I mean, we've all had tough lives, but this book right here will give you and your teen hope. And with hope, anything's possible.
And where can they get the book?
You can get the book, through Amazon, Barnes and Nobles. You know, you can get the book on my website, GranddaddySecrets.com. Yep, absolutely.
Well, thank you for being a guest on our show, and join our tradition of signing one over to meet the author.
Yes, my pleasure,
And
Jason.
another great book. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a great book for any teen to have. Really good lessons in there by a teacher, so they should know. And you're writing, you know. That's what you're telling people to do.
Absolutely, right? I hope you're feeling lucky.
Thank you. I am.
Yeah. I am too.
Great.
Great, thank you.
For us lucky guys, another Meet the Author show.
Yes.